Let's get started. Number one, attention spans aren't the real problem, but if you start with the destination in mind, start with the conclusion, then the people know exactly what you're talking about. Too many people ramp up to it. For example, someone may say, "Hey, Karen, how was the meeting?" Well, I can either say, "The meeting was great. We solved the biggest problem and we're moving forward." Well, that interests people because the questions they want to ask then are, well, what was the biggest problem? And how are you moving forward? Instead, what a lot of people do is they start with, well, I'll tell you about the meeting, but first let me tell you about what happened yesterday. Well, if they wanted to know what happened yesterday, they would have asked you what happened yesterday. So instead, they're lost in the weeds as you keep talking with every little story and every little background. That's not what they want. What the people want is the destination first. So they're clear that you know what they asked you or the direction that you're going in your conversation. So, what you should do instead is something you've heard me talk about 100 times, and that is point first communication. You want to start with a conclusion first. Then you want to tell a story or a brief example so that they understand what happened. Third, you want to discuss the next points or the next action items. And then third, you want to stop talking. Give the listener a chance to respond. Let them digest what you've just said. So get to the point first, and that will avoid people getting lost by you starting with the way beginning of the story and share every thought that you ever had. The second one is when people talk too much with detail. They give every background, every detail, every piece of minutia that comes to their mind. People get lost in that. They're not interested. And what they want to know is what's the bottom line? So pick one memorable idea. If the person walks away from your conversation with just one point or one idea, what is it? That is all you need to share at first. If they want to know more, they will ask you. But let them focus on just that one big idea. One great idea is better than 10 average ones. So let's focus on the one thing that you want them to remember and then take the conversation from there. And finally, when you're talking and you don't invite any curiosity into the conversation, you want to give people a reason to leave in. So you lean in. So you want to open with an interesting or intriguing statement, question, or lesson. So going back to my initial example, when you start the conversation with, yesterday we answered the big problem, and now we're moving forward. Well, that invites two questions. What was the big idea? And two, what are you moving forward with? You're causing people to lean in, to really be interested in what you want to say. So open with an intriguing statement, question, or lesson. Make listeners want the next sentence that you're about to share. Now, let me share a story with you. I had a client several years ago who came to me because he didn't feel that his team respected him. Whenever he made presentations, they looked at their phone, they stared into oblivion, they never asked questions. And if they did, they interrupted him in mid sentence. He didn't appreciate the disrespect that he was feeling, and he asked me to work with him. Well, it wasn't a disrespect problem, it was a communication problem. So here's what we did, we focused on these three things. We taught him to start with the conclusion in mind. Then I had him wipe out everything in the conversation that was superfluous. We told him whatever the one point is he wanted them to discuss afterwards, the one point he wanted them to remember. Edit ruthlessly and just focus on that one point. And two, invite curiosity. Lead with those compelling questions or compelling statements or questions that make people want to know more. Well, he adopted those plans, and after he did, he found that there was much greater involvement in his meetings. People didn't interrupt him as much, there was better discussion, and at the end, everyone seemed happier to attend his meetings. That's the kind of information that you want to have happen. Now, over the next 7 days, I challenge you to do three things. Number one, start with the point first. Start with the conclusion and then give a brief explanation, next steps or action items, and then stop talking. Let the listener digest and then let them talk. Number two, edit ruthlessly in your conversation. You want to make sure that whatever one point you want them to remember, that they will remember because it didn't get lost in the weeds of all of the other details that you shared with them. And third, invite curiosity. Focus that initial question, comment, or statement as something that people will be intrigued by. And they'll want to ask questions, or at least they'll want to listen in or lean in and really focus on what you're saying so that they listen to you through the entire conversation. It's three easy steps, and it will change the way people respond to you when you're speaking. I hope this conversation was helpful to you today. I encourage you to pass this on to other people who you think could use the lesson. And I also encourage you to join me on my free school community. It's a place where you'll get information like this every day. And every Wednesday, we do a free 1 hour masterclass. To find my free school community, go to school.com. That's SKOOL.com, and look for Act Like a Great Communicator. It's free to join, and I'll accept your membership as soon as I receive it. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday on our next podcast. Thank you.